Hello, I am doing my presentation on the Marshall Islands. I'll be presenting on the Republic of the Marshall Islands, also known as RMI. It's a small island nation located in Micronesia region of the Pacific Ocean. The Marshall Islands are made up of about 1,200 islands and atolls and have a population of around 60,000 people. Became independent republic in 1986, but it still remains a free association agreement with the United States. This means that the U.S. provides defense and significant economic aid. The Marshall Islands is considered a developing nation, and much of its economy depends upon U.S. assistance, fishing revenues, and remittances. So, a fun fact: the Bikini Atoll in the Marshall Islands is known worldwide. It was a site for U.S. nuclear testing during World War II, and that's also where the bikini got its name from. The Marshall Islands has a long colonial history. Spain first claimed the islands in the 16th century. In 1885, Germany purchased them mainly for the copra production, which is dried coconut. During World War I, Japan took over under a League of Nations mandate. After World War II, the United States administered the islands under the UN trusteeship system until 1986, when the Marshall Islands gained independence. Colonization occurred largely for strategic reasons, since the islands are located along important trade and military routes, and for economic purposes like copra production. One of the most significant impacts of this colonial history was the U.S. nuclear testing program, which displaced communities and caused lasting health and environmental issues. And that's why a lot of them immigrated to the United States. So globalization plays a major role in the development of the Marshall Islands. Economically, the country relies heavily on aid from the United States through the Compact of Free Association, which makes up about 30% of this GDP. The government also earns revenue from fishing licenses, especially from foreign tuna fleets and from remittances sent by Marshallese that are living overseas in the United States. Politically, the country has strong ties to the US and Taiwan. It often votes alongside Western powers in the United Nations. Culturally, globalization is seen in migration patterns with large Marshallese communities in Arkansas, Hawaii, and Spokane, Washington, where I live, and in the influence of the U.S. media and education. So the Marshallese, they remain very culturally sound and um, very close-knit community here in Spokane. Overall, the Marshall Islands is considered a developing nation that is highly vulnerable to climate change and sea level rising. Globalization globalization has both positive and negative impacts on the Marshall Islands. On the positive side, US aid provides stable government revenue. Fishing licenses are another major source of money. The country also has strong voice in global climate negotiation, where it advocates for action as one of the world's most vulnerable nations. Uh, the coral reef islands are different than volcanic islands, as they come and go with the tide, literally. The nuclear testing legacy still affects the population and the land. High levels of immigration to the United States create brain drain, weakening of the workforce at home. Overall, globalization gives the country important benefits, but also exposes it to risk and dependencies. For the multinational corporation example, I chose the foreign fishing fleets from Japan, Korea, and Taiwan that operate in the Marshall Islands, exclusive in the Marshall Islands exclusive economic zone. These companies pay millions of dollars annually for licenses to fish for tuna. They entered the country because its waters are among the richest tuna fishing grounds in the world. The fleets face challenges like overfishing concerns, the need to follow conservation rules, and ongoing fee negotiations with the Marshall Islands government. At the same time, these fleets provide the government with significant revenue and help maintain regional fishing partnerships. The Marshall Islands is an active member in several international institutions. It joined the United Nations in 1991 and has become a leader in climate diplomacy, co-founding the High Ambition Coalition that pushed for strong commitments in the Paris Climate Agreement. It also works with the World Bank and the IMF, which provide development aid, technical assistance, and fiscal reforms. Regionally, the Marshall Islands is part of the Pacific Island Forum, which is a political platform where small island states coordinate responses to security, economic, and environmental issues. The Marshall Islands participates in the Pacific Islands Country Trade Agreement, or PICTA, which aims to increase regional trade through tariff reductions, although its impact is still limited. Much more important is the Compact of Free Association with the United States. This agreement provides hundreds of millions in aid over 20 years, gives the Marshallese citizens the right to live and work in the U.S. They're eligible for all the benefits, Social Security, Apple Health, those types of things, and ensures the U.S. military access and strategic denial rights in the Pacific. The compact is unique and has shaped the country's economy, migration, and political alignment since independence. The Marshall Islands has limited exports. They include copra, coconut oil, frozen fish, and ship registrations under its flag of convenience system. Imports, however, are much larger and include food, fuel, machinery, and manufactured goods. Major trading partners are the United States, Japan, Taiwan, Australia, and China. The country uses the US dollar, which removes foreign exchange risk, but also it means it has no independent monetary policy. This makes the economy more stable, but also limits flexibility in responding to shocks. In conclusion, the Marshall Islands is a fascinating case of globalization. The country benefits from aid, fishing revenue, and strong global voice in climate diplomacy, but it also suffers from dependency, limited economic options, and severe climate risks. I chose the Marshall Islands because it clearly illustrates how globalization can shape the destiny of a small island state. And I have close ties with the Marshallese here in Spokane, Washington. One last cultural note, the Marshallese are known for their unique stick charts, which are maps made from palm ribs and shells used to read ocean currents and navigations. These highlight the deep maritime heritage of the people. Some of the Marshallese took on the names of what they were prior to coming to the States. For instance, I know a man, his last name is Compass because this is what he did was he helped people find through the waterways he could navigate through it. Thank you for your time.